The mic was muted.
Let me make sure. I think the mic
Is there audio now?
Yeah, there's audio now.
Okay, there you go. Nice job, Trevor.
Wow.
Glad I brought you.
Someone unplugged the mic.
Someone unplugged the mic. Who unplugged the mic?
I got no idea.
Who would have unplugged the mic? Okay. Haven't been at the console all week. I had nothing to do with that. Alright, so we're back up, and we have one person, and me and one person, so it's like we could have just done a phone call right now. So, yeah, Trevor was supposed to, for the New Year, first live, bang, and I said, hey, let's get an intro up and do montage of some stuff, and then about 5 till, you could just run music, and then when I was sitting here and ready, we could just segue out of it, could do all the stuff like subscribe and notifications and all this, and run our web address, the website and everything. It'd be really cool. And he was like, oh yeah, okay. And of course it didn't happen because the mic was muted. Good job on audio there, Trev.
Great start.
But yeah, good start to the new year. So we're going down from here. Well, we can only go up so far. Crappy, depressing weather lately. I don't know. Could use the rain. So I guess, yeah, we could use the rain. So it's just gray, it's dark, it's dreary, it's cold. It's not as cold as it is in some places. There's always this. It's funny because every day I get out and I kind of get outside the office and then I go, oh wow, check it out, man, the sun's shining. So I'm gonna go out in the field for a little bit and get some sunshine and feel that warm sunshine. As soon as I get in the truck and start it up and start heading out, clouds come back in and it cools off. So hey Glenn and hey Larry, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, see, but that was the whole idea. Brand new year, we're going to do this, kind of push it to a kind of different level. It's a brand new year, first live, and then it doesn't happen. That's pretty typical, though. Okay. So anyways, that will come around or come about or somehow or something. One of the ideas I had for it was that I could go through original music and demos and stuff, and it could be musically different every week, see? Something kind of unique and talk about it for a few minutes or something part of Sunsets, like there's some audio or something, but yeah, it could be something a little different. We could change it up every week to a little something, because we do these a couple a month or, whatever we do with between the archive stuff. Anyhow, so much for all of that. So, hope everybody had a great Christmas and a great New Year's, and now we're back for a live. Kind of ripped out the last, was it 4? 4 down the rabbit holes? Was it 4 of them?
I think so.
Yeah, and we got one more to go before I'll kind of get back into the groove of things. I hope everybody enjoys them. It seems like everybody's enjoying them. A bunch of views popped up. People seem to be glad it's warming up somewhere. So, because it certainly hasn't been warm here. And it's been damp. That's the worst part. I don't care if it's cold, because cold is cold, and if you get the sun out, but when it's just damp all the time, and you can't get the dampness out of your bones. I don't know what the hell that was. Some lid on something. Anyways, yeah, everything here is a complete mess. We got all kinds of little projects going, and then we were getting things together, and then we piled everything in here, and since we weren't doing anything in here during the interim, I ended up with a big mess. I actually had this all cleaned off, remember? Had everything, and we actually redid some of the studio wiring and stuff, and now I got a bunch of crap sitting here, so I have to get back to cleaning that up this weekend. So, here we go. Yeah, I'm back east. Yeah, everybody east has got it miserable, equally as miserable. I think Michigan, some of those areas up in northern New York, man, I can't even believe that it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not a damp person, but I think it's being, people always say the cold weather or warm weather, your blood thins or thickens. I don't think that is that big of a deal, because I don't mind if it's cold. I'm gonna be in short sleeves and shorts, even if I'm up in the snow, but it's dry. Even when it snows, a lot of times out here it's still dry. It's that dampness gets to me and makes me just feel miserable. So I am not a person that could live in somewhere like Seattle or someplace like that where it rains all the time, is damp. I'd be miserable. Wood stove's nice, but it's not what full week of rain. But Yeah, and it's nice getting rain. It's just, yeah, I just didn't expect it to constantly. I think it was supposed to clear out from our last rainfall and not rain again for 10 days, it said, and then yesterday it rained for an hour or so. So it was just kind of weird. It's like, okay, no more rain. Good, it's going to dry out, and then it rained again. So enough with the rain and miserable. And going to get in the mountains soon. Yes, be out in the Superstitions tomorrow. So have a couple things to do out there, and then the Flag Foundation has a rock and mineral show in Mesa, so we'll be out there in the afternoon. Frank and I and Trevor will be out there in the afternoon, going through people's wares and seeing what cool stuff's out there. So it'll be Mesa Community College, that is. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Greg Davis has a booth out there. I don't know if Woody... I forgot to call Woody. I was going to see if Woody was coming down there for that. Okay, so there we go. So it's kind of, again, hopefully the weather will be nice tomorrow, but we'll be out pretty early. What time are we supposed to be out in the mountains? 9? So I'll be on the road about 7. So it's not a bad day. Hopefully it warms up. It's supposed to be pretty cold, about 39 tonight. So bring a jacket in the morning. So any idea... Real deal Daleel's up to, I don't know, he was up to whatever he said last time. I know he has a job, he's doing good, and he was happy with that, and he got a new house, and he'd moved, and he was doing just fine and dandy. And I think there was Christmas pics. He went and visited space, spent time with the family, and all that. I saw that on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere briefly. So he's doing good. I haven't talked to him since he did the live with us, which was about a month ago. About a month. So, yeah, he was after Woody. Still got to get Frank and Magnuson in there. Let's see here. And deal is doing good. Okay. Only way to hear is have landscape company. Okay, we're talking about wood burning stoves. Cool. Anyways, we did the down the rabbit hole stuff and all that stuff, and everybody seemed to enjoy those. I have been numbed and lost so many. Is it time for my Hey Wayne segment? But anyways, rabbit hole, and we did the Angie story, and then we did the Brody story, we did the Black Legion story, we did the Brian Scott story. I don't know if we did any others. I think that was about it. But we got another one, so Monday you'll have one more, which is be familiar. If anybody's familiar with the Superstitions, they'll hear some familiar stuff in that. Then we'll take a little breather from that. But it was about getting the source of some of these stories and kind of going in and getting in depth and documenting them. Here's a book no one should buy. This is a book. I think they want about $20 for this book. A guy, Mark Amaru Pinkham. It's called Sedona, City of the Star People. It's about 350 pages, and you'll be pretty stupid by about 50. Goes south pretty fast. I diligently will put a lot of time into stuff like this. And I always kind of like when I research stuff and all, and sometimes you buy a book and it's only maybe a chapter or a few paragraphs on the subject matter, but I will get it and go through it and kind of look through everything. And it is rough writing, man. I've lost some brain cells for you people trying to do some of these because it's difficult. And I know there are people that believe in this stuff, and that's fine. So anyhow, it's yeah. So we got one more to do. I think everybody will be entertained by that. But it's rough going. Anybody can write a book. I mean, anybody can be an author, just like anybody can go have children. And it doesn't mean you're going to be good at it, or it's going to be entertaining, or everything will turn out all right. And unfortunately, I've been through quite the pile of books. As I said, I think the last video I talked about that briefly. And it's not meant to be insulting people, but there's flat earth people out there, right? And you can't convince them otherwise, and I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything, but hopefully I steer a few people away from a few bad books in the process. I should have known better when it said Sedona, City of the Star People. and you almost hate to like recognize it for somebody, but wow. Yeah, some of the stuff. And we will do probably, I don't know if we'll do a Chasing Legends. Maybe we'll do it in live one time where I'll go through a number of these books I had to read and talk about some of it, because it is kind of scary what people will write about and what people will obviously buy, because they wouldn't be putting the book out there if somebody wasn't buying it. So all epic stories. Sorry to procrastinating. Long time fan, love the channel. Thank you. Be cool to know more of the legend of the black palms. Black hands. No, black hand. That was kind of an incorrect thing, but yeah. And we explained that in the Black Legion thing a little bit, which I'll get right back to here. If you knew where the Dutchman's treasure was and you knew it was physically accessible, would you try to collect it? If you knew there was a 50-50 chance you'd die doing it. Well, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and I wouldn't. I'd be fine. You forget that. I'm Wayne Tuttle. I wouldn't. Somebody else might die on the trip, but not me. No, I've been in plenty 50-50 situations. I don't know. It's hard to say something, because why is it a 50-50 chance? Is someone going to shoot you, or is it some other issue or whatever, or is it just because of inaccessibility or something like that? But the handprints, yeah, we talked about that. The original thing with the handprints was people would find the handprint and it'd be an outline or a print on their car or truck. Sometimes it had a feather drawn on it or something on it, and that was part of the stories. People would come back to their vehicles after making trips in the mountains and knowing they'd been in the wrong area and stuff. Tried to contact you guys. Okay. All right, Robert, I don't know how or which direction or which way, but okay. I don't... and everybody understand, there's more than one Robert out there, but I don't know how you try to contact us through Messenger, or if you tried to contact us through just doing this kind of thing. It's sometimes tough because we got to kind of pursue through. There was someone who got a hold of me, really wanted to get a hold of me about something, and I left. I had no idea who the person was, and I tried to basically kind of put that out there to them as I don't even know. Okay, you can go through Messenger. You can go through Messenger on the Legends Facebook page or the Dutch Hunter Rendezvous page. I don't think I can access on the fan pages. Just the Legend official page from A&E. There are several fan pages. I don't know who monitors that stuff. I don't know if I can get in to access messages on those.
Website too.
And there's our website where you can contact us through and all. And then I've had people, like, when the show was running, actually, I pulled in a Jack in the Box one day, parked around the back, had my food, and I was sitting there eating my food. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. I just hit it because I was eating. And some guy from somewhere in the Midwest was talking to me, and I finally stopped because I was like, I don't know who I'm talking to. And I said, who is this? And I said, do I even know you? And he says, no. And I said, how did you get my phone number? And he said it was really, really hard and took him a while. But he never fully explained it. And he was a Stone Map guy and all. But I'm like, wow, good for him. But kind of weirded out that, wow, he called me right during work and all that. So, you're kind of looking around your truck going, what the hell? So, you get it. So, people do find, so I don't know. Let's see. Motherfucking Wayne Tuttle. Yeah, you can say it. There's no, this isn't like Twitter or those places where they take stuff out. You can say it. 50-50 from hindsight. Life is 50-50 from hindsight. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I will do some pretty crazy stupid stuff. So I'm not gonna sit there and say, well, I mean, there is the thrill of the chase, and most of the time when you're treasure hunting or going and doing things, it's more the thrill of the chase and the hunt than the finding. You find stuff and it's kind of pretty fast. It'd be kind of like, I'm trying to how to explain it, but usually once you found it, like when we found those silver dollars, we're digging them out and all, it was exciting, man. And I gotta admit, man, my adrenaline's going and it was really cool. And it was like, ah, and then it was like, oh, there's no more. And it was cool to talk about a little, but it starts just dissipating so fast. So the chase is where a lot of the excitement comes. So going after it and stuff. So yeah, to say, well, that's almost impossible to get to. I don't know. What are we going to do? I would pretty much be all over it and stuff like that. Because I think that you tend to not look at, like, is it a 50-50 chance and stuff? Generally, you're just, am I going to or not? So you're just going for it. Talked about this before, but there's one thing you could change about the way production company handled you. What would it be? Listen to me. Listen to me more. Quit trying to take and evolve something to something else. I felt the show should have been, it was dry enough for my taste. I don't need editorial control to edit. I understand that. Now I could, and I would say put me in the room a little more. But at the time, listen to me. I gave everyone in the production staff, the producers, everybody bark notes, and they still got a lot of stuff wrong. It was, they brought me in, and the main reason History and A&E brought me in was as a production consultant. And then they wanted me to be in the show, and then they basically decided they really needed me in the show because they needed someone with some Dutch hunting background. And they used me for information, but they used that information always trying to find a way to color it. And I don't think that's always necessary. I think you guys and everybody out there gets it if it's a good story and if it's told properly. I think at certain points of the show they tried to manipulate things and it didn't always go well for them. But the big thing I would say is listen. When you bring someone in to consult and stuff, and in that position to kind of guide you through the story and stuff, listen. And the thing, and it's not a knock on the person, but Frank brought them in the stone map stuff, and it derailed what the original show where we were supposed to start and some stuff we were supposed to follow through. We would have still been in Hewitt. It would have been a little different, but they derailed it because they liked the storyline for a while to go that route. And then they finally sat down and we would sit there with these little notebooks and writing stupid ideas and running ideas. Frank and Woody, Eric and Eric would go back to their rooms. We would sit in a production office and they would talk and ask me questions about things that people said or things we talked about during the day. And they literally were trying to come up with things day to day for the next day. And we would sit around and kind of knock things back and forth. And then I would leave because I had to get up super early. And they would finish up, and then the next day we kind of pulled things together, but they were always writing and doing stuff. So the stone map stuff came in, and then finally at one point they were just completely frustrated, and my big thing was they listened to me that time. I said, let's go visit Bob's shoes. And me and Bob came up, here's some maps, and here's something Bob wanted to follow, and here's something he was willing to deliver and talk about on camera, and we would follow and all that. That was a very real thing, and that was the difference. It really kind of caught, and then the ratings started going up. And it doesn't mean I'm always right, but I think when it's people really following something that's kind of more real, people buy into it. And I will always stand by that. The viewership really dropped during we opened big, did okay, and then the stone map stuff for the next episode too, we started bottoming out. Once we kind of dropped the stone map thing and kind of got away from that, got to Shoes, then everything went up, and then we were soaring higher than we were before. So listen, that would be the big thing. And any project here moving forward, if it was like the Dutchman or the Superstitions or something like that, Arizona related, I would say, hey, I want to be production consultant, but listen to me, and let's kind of like together and kind of allow me to kind of stop you, because I felt like, and I still do. Let's always look at it this way too. I think this is important for everybody to understand. I was doing this stuff, and whether it was just a few people or one person or wherever I was with other Dutch hunters, I was still in the mountains and doing this sort of thing and talking about the superstitions and stuff before there ever was a TV show. So that was an important point. So where you can say, well, Eric and Eric aren't really doing this, or Woody, and I don't know, he doesn't talk about it much, or Frank and all that. But they kind of were brought into this. There's a big difference in that I was a Dutch hunter and I was into the superstitions and I had close to 40 years in the mountains. All that was up there in the front of it. So I had that in my pack, and that was a big difference. So I'm not doing anything different than I would be. there's more media involved in it. I never thought social media would give a crap about, superstitions or the Lost Dutchman, but it did. But I would have been the same person, the same place, same things, a lot of things I was doing. So that's that. But yes, listen. And which is something we can all do sometimes, is step back and listen. Any thoughts on the Lust for Gold documentary? Someone from there put, I wanted to rip off your previous... Well, the Lust for Gold documentary, I was involved in that. If there was any similarities, it came directly from me because they went and filmed. I didn't really know anybody. I knew Robert, Bob. I knew Bob a little, Kesselring, and he'd been out, and I knew his theories and some of his stuff. I was familiar with him. And then Robert May and Bob Brown contacted me and wanted to film at the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards. And we had to set things because certain people didn't want to be on camera. Tom Collenborn was adamant. He did not want to be interviewed. He didn't want no involvement in the production. So when they're filming in the corner, Tom and his wife Sharon, I believe there was a couple other people, but they were behind the cameras. So they would never be caught on camera. They just wanted adamantly just to be not part of it. They were tired of the TV stuff at that point. And this is shortly after the show, remember, when they first started filming that. And we were doing the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, and Robert May and I talked, and he did interviews with me to incorporate into the thing, and we connected. And the relationships between the original searchers and a lot of those people kind of fell off. So as he's molding the film, changing the film, and doing things and working with the film, Robert started leaning on me because necessarily the crew that was out in the field, Bob Kesselring and his son Jason, good guys, Bill Blackwell, they weren't Dutch hunters. So Robert was and Bob Brown were talking to me about, okay, what do you think of the film? What could we do? What could this and that? So I was very aware of a lot of stuff that was going on inside, and then guiding and talking to them and working out stuff. So there was, my phone, there was times I was on the phone with Robert or Bob for an hour or two, and we were discussing plot points and how to cut the film. Also, as they cut the film, even before it was colorized and stuff, the rough edits and stuff, I saw the film. They would send it to me. I would watch it. Trevor would watch it too, because being a film student, he was good to give an opinion on what he was thinking. But I was able to kind of correct things and talk about things and tell them what I thought and how things worked. And I thought they did a really good job. But part of what you could be seeing a little in there was my involvement from as much as I'm briefly in it, I was a lot more involved. And I helped introduce it at, was it Harkins? Was it Harkins Theater? And helped with a lot of promotional stuff. Went down the Arizona Film Festival with it. To help promote it and help them out, because it was about promoting anything with the Superstitions, not Robert May and not just Bob Kesselring, but it was about anything to do with it. And I was friends with almost everybody involved, so that could be part of that imprint of saying they ended up, as it took a year or two, about 2 years for them to process that film out. There was 2 years of my involvement, constantly us on the phone talking about stuff. When they found the explosives, that did happen. No, they were actually pretty ticked off. Kesselring was furious about it. The production company was the guy was pretty sketchy. In fact, that guy did contact me and wanted me to go back in the mountains with him. So he did contact me through social media and wanted me to hook up with him and go back in there. Hey, but I heard all about him and his background and stuff from them, and knew about that stuff early on. So that did really happen, and he was a real person and I believe he has a real criminal background and other stuff. But he did contact me, and then kind of made it try to sound like, I guess his way of reaching out to me was, yeah, I'm friends with Bob Kesselring. I was like, no, I don't think so. So, yeah, and I can't remember what his name was. Can you? I don't know. But anyways, I thought the film, for being guys that are not Dutch hunters, that are just basically treasure hunters, a guy that kind of got the treasure bug fever and stuff, to show you what most people are like. So there's a difference if you put a group of 3 or 4 of us Dutch hunters together going looking for the Dutchman, it would be completely different than Legend of Superstition Mountains. It'd be much more serious. It'd be kind of a lot different feel and look to it. So I think with each element of how you would put the cast together, and in that one it was, I know Bob Kesselring talks a little Thunder God's Gold and a little bit of that in it, but they're not necessarily Dutch hunters necessarily. So there you go. That. Hey Wayne, I want to go near First Water. I'm realizing there are 2-3 missing people out there. Not exactly making me feel happy. You wanted to go out near go to First Water. Walk out to Garden Valley. There's plenty of people. That trail going through First Water, the original First Water Ranch. We'll be doing that with the Dons sometime this month. We'll be doing a group hike out to Garden Valley. There's so many people that take that trail. If you go to Second Water, there'll be fewer people. If you do the loop up through Hackberry, there's quite a few people do that. You can usually be around other people that are doing it, but quite a few people use that trail. People are getting lost there or wandering off somewhere, and the trails are pretty easy. If you get into Garden Valley and you go north, you're going to go around through Hackberry, and that's pretty easy, and you come back down First Water Creek. Second Water's pretty distinct trail that gets into Second Water and all the way to the Red Paint. I don't think you can get lost. Black Mesa will take you right back down into Brush Corral Basin, and then you can come back up around the Dutchman, that way from down by Blacktop and Palomino. So, no, it should be good. There's a lot of people. That's the area you're going to see the most people. In Garden Valley, First Water is going to be the most people you see, other than maybe the Peralta Trail. Arizona, what do you think of the documentary? Oh, you're talking to him. Okay, what did he think of the documentary? Mountain lions eating folks? I don't know. They wouldn't be. There's too many people and too much going on there. I wouldn't think that. That would be back maybe Tortilla or some of the back country areas and stuff more than that. And if a mountain lion's going to go after people, it's going to go after the people with the little dogs that take the little dogs or 5-year-old children. I mean, I've seen kindergarten groups out at Garden Valley out there having lunch and stuff. So, but, you see a little bit of everything. But a lot of people go out and they wander off or kind of think they're not going to get lost going 25, 30 yards from the trail, and then they get kind of turned around a little, and then they can't find the trail. And if there's nobody in the area immediately, they don't hear voices. Boom! Next thing you know is boom. They're all wandering different directions. But it shouldn't be that. That is one of the nicer areas, I'd say. Peralta Trailhead going up to Fremont, and then going to Garden Valley through First Water, and that's why we're doing it. I'm not sure if we're going to do We'll do a group that'll go to Garden Valley, and then there'll be a secondary group probably that goes down to either Second Water to go see Obie Stoker's mine and some of the petroglyphs and stuff down there, or we might go swing around Hackberry for a hike. But it's not a long hike. It's a nice hike. Should see plenty of people and be safe of it, but Well, okay, and think it was okay. I thought the movie was good, but then, my problem sometimes looking at the perspective of that stuff, too, is I knew everybody involved, and I got so much involvement in it. I know what's on the cutting room floor. I know what they didn't use. I liked the Rick Gwynn stuff. I thought there was comedic elements, but they didn't try to get them to do anything, and that was kind of what made it kind of funny, made it kind of sad, made it kind of rough, was you could tell they were kind of beyond their means. They didn't really know what they were doing, and it became kind of more of a tragic comedy. So like Frank said he thought it was kind of sad and a bummer and all that, because it showed you why people die in the mountains and what happens. These guys just happened to have a camera crew and got lucky, but they did have some close calls on other trips. And I think that was one of the things, depending on your perspective. It was a story they wanted to follow, and they found a neat way to follow it because of Bob Kesselring's influence from Thunder God's Gold. Barry Storm was into the stone maps later in life, and Barry Storm's own thing, and being able to take Lust for Gold, the film, and kind of push those two elements together and kind of make it a modern day version of Lust for Gold without the Dutch hunting involvement. And because it wasn't about the Lost Dutch Mine, it wasn't about Jacob Waltz, it wasn't about any of that stuff. It really was about Robert Kesselring's solutions for the stone maps and the Latin Heart, of which to this day they're still popping things. I don't know how well Bob's doing. Last I heard from him, he's still kicking. He's got a lot of health problems. And Bill Blackwell, I just talked to him not too long ago. We're supposed to always meet up, but he was still digging and thought he found a treasure door or something in the mountain. He'd posted some pictures, I think, in Facebook about it and all that. So, but, you know, I still talk to Blackwell, and, you know. So I logged in late. Wayne, he might have already mentioned, is Woody. Woody's doing fine. Yeah, he had a cold, I think, a little while ago, and he's been doing, just doing fine. Just an estimate, how many people have claimed to find the LDM? Anyone close? Kesselring? What does that mean? Actually in close? Oh, you mean like anyone close, like Kesselring? That he has nothing to do with the Lost Dutchman mine. Kesselring claims he's found stuff. He's never proved anything. They've never dug anything up. God, how many? I think I did a Chasing Legends on that once about how many people have found the mine. Number of people have found the Lost Dutchman mine, then lost it, and then found it somewhere else again. And I did that, and it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was a bit serious. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that have found it. Not one of them has produced anything. Okay. So Woody's doing fine. Did I miss anything, Trevor?
Did you do the Stickman one?
I did the Stickman. Well, the Stickman is the strangest thing I've ever seen. That's probably... The other day I was thinking of that, because I was thinking, what would be the one story? And you know, the photo I did at the Lost Dutchman store, which is no longer there, that was a bit odd. But, yeah, the Stickman thing still, and I just read something in a book about that made me go back to it, about a Hopi thing, about like a stick lady in a black torn dress in a Hopi, and they were saying if you see her and you could die and stuff. And it was very kind of like, what? Because I was like reading this weird, odd version of my story. And I was like, huh, it had nothing to do with me or my story, but it was kind of, I'll have to show it to you sometime, Trevor. But yeah, it caught me off guard because I was like, huh. It's the first time I've ever actually read something that, you know, not someone says, oh, I saw the Stickman and this is what this means. This was something I just read and I was like, oh. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it was the first time I'd seen anything descriptive close to what I saw there. Still don't know what I seen. I don't know. So if that was it, then I got lucky. They say if that happens and you get away, you're very, very lucky. So I guess I was lucky. Okay. Remember a show where someone found a poking Tommy, a miner's candle holder, was a plant. Oh, that's... That's Magnuson. Let's say it no further. That was our show, and that was Magnuson, and Magnuson's brilliant idea. I was not there for that when that happened. I have no idea. The sad fact of that, because I will get into a very sad fact on that. Because I'm pretty sure you're talking about Eric Magnuson. He found the candle holder, and he had that. And I was up on those quartz stringers up on the hillside when that all took place and they filmed all that. I was nowhere near there. And if you watch our show, it's probably episode 5, probably at 4 or 5, but you will see when they do the segment and about a couple of those things, I'm up the hill. I walked away. I was ticked off. Oh no, they didn't want me smoking. And I decided I was going to go have a freaking cigarette. So I walked off and went up the hill to have a cigarette and then started checking out the mineralization up there. Frank found a nice gold nugget. I don't know how many grams it was, but he found one. And he was excited, and they refused to film it or go on about it. Frank was so upset. And then Magnuson with this candle holder, and then I got it. They went up to where I found all the stuff I found, which was you could see they'd screened dirt and been working on some stuff. And we filmed that segment, which they only used part of. And then later I realized the candle holder, which I was not aware of the candle holder when it was supposedly found and all that stuff. I just know Frank said something negative about it, and I didn't have anything part of that. I was up the hill. So there was, so when you see that, I don't think you see me anywhere around. Wayne, did you see the episode of Ghost Adventures focus on Apache Junction? Yeah, they found ghosts in the town. You believe in ghosts? Not in a ghost town that Bob Schuss built. No, I believe anything that happens, there's a reason for it, and it's natural. So I don't believe in paranormal. I believe in the normal. If there's something that happens that's unexplainable, there's a reason for it. Doesn't mean it's supernatural, paranormal, or the cult. And it's hard to understand my separation of the reasoning is saying if there's something that happens, let's say there's another dimension right now that coexists with us, and occasionally things kind of flutter and boom, and we hear the voices or shadows from that other dimension. It's just a natural thing, in my opinion. So if it is there and there is such a thing, then it's just natural. And you live and move on with it. I don't know about ghosts and stuff because I've never seen anything around that I would say. There's been odd things that have happened that I can't explain, but that I've never seen anything actively that I would say, well, that's definitely a ghost or a residual thing or this or that or something else. So I'd say definitively, I'm always very skeptical of that kind of thing. And when things happen, it makes me braver than most people because I will walk right into kind of going, well, what was that? Well, what's going on? So that kind of, and then people tell me things, well, you know why things don't happen because you don't believe. Well, no, I'm just kind of there, but no. So the Ghost Adventures thing, there you go. I'm not a big ghost believer and stuff like that. I believe in things happen and be respectful to other people's beliefs and that sort of stuff, long as they are grounded in their beliefs. If they are wacky, then you can joke a little about it, which I've done. So Frank with his little snake gun solos the whole Black Legion and all the other creatures. What? Gun solos, okay. Sing Kid Taylor. Okay, I don't know where we're going sometimes. Another channel dealing with missing people, strange occurrence in the woods. Someone mentioned a cryptoid stick Indian. Something that will try to lure you into the forest. See, I didn't catch that. See, that'd be cool. I'd like to see that because, yeah, I saw this reference of the Hopi thing, and I was like, immediately went, oh, because I'd never heard anything about it. So, and then a few people got a hold of me about some references to different stories, but none of it patterned up what I was, but everybody was the same thing. I'm like, well, you're lucky you got away. I'm like, okay, well, I was heading towards it, so I was looking to meet and greet. Yeah, but I don't know. Missing people are missing people. There's people still missing in the superstitions. It's not because of aliens or Bigfoot. It's because of mountain lions and lack of orientation and skill sets and health problems and other stuff. So, but it is what it is. And I don't always want to go to those back because I just find a certain amount of, sometimes people just want to go off and just don't want to be around anymore. And they just want to disappear. And, well, I'm trying to remember who it was. There was the thing about, they said, it was Wendy O. Williams, which most everybody here will draw a complete blank, who was in a band called the Plasmatics, which most people will draw a blank. But anyways, she had retired and she was doing a lot of charitable work and stuff. And she wrote a suicide note, went out in the woods, put a sack over her head and shot herself so that her boyfriend or husband wouldn't see her head after she shot herself. And in her suicide note, she said the one thing you should be able to do in life is if you don't feel like living anymore, you should be able to quietly go out and take care of your business and whatever. And just, because nobody should make you have to live if you don't want to. Something along that line. And that happens to a lot of people, and I know we always want people to get help and stuff, but I understood completely, and if anybody ever looks that up, what her suicide note says, it makes perfect sense at the same time. I mean, she'd went through a lot of different things. She was not into drugs, she was not into alcohol, she was like a vegetarian and very clean living and all this kind of stuff. So it's surprising from her punk rock days, this person she'd become, but yeah, so let's go back into this and missing people to do the meth heads too. Have you heard the story of Kenny Veach and the M Cave? How come Kenny Veach sounds really familiar?
It does.
Kenny Veach and the M Cave. I don't know. That sounds so familiar, and I don't know what it is. The name sounds... the M Cave thing doesn't sound familiar, but Kenny Veach strikes a chord, and I don't know why. Let's see. And the story is legendary. Suicide about Big on Veach. Oh, is that the guy that was up in the mountains, up in Nevada or Utah, that was out hiking and had a GoPro or something, and they found sign of him? He was by someplace. God, maybe that's the guy I'm thinking of. And he just disappeared, and there's some guy always out there doing a podcast and stuff. For a long time, he was looking for him and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that was the guy. He went missing in 2014 north of Vegas. YouTube. Yeah, that was the guy. Okay, I know what you're talking about. They found one of his cameras somewhere by an open pit mine or something. God, I think I've watched the videos. That's why I know it. And I might have shown him to Trevor. Okay, I think I know that one where he just went off in the mountains, and that happens to people. So Glenn retracted his message. You know, they should just let it not be there rather than we all sit here and go, what did Glenn have to say? All right, so, because Trevor, are you curious what Glenn said that he had to retract? Yeah, Trevor's completely. He's befuddled. So there you go. Yes, okay, the Kenny Veach thing I did hear of, and I know it was a YouTube channel that I followed. That was a guy that followed it around trying to find where he was and was hiking up in the mountains, different areas, trying to see if he could recover the body. Do you think they'll build a casino on top of the flat? No. They will not build a casino on the top of the Flatiron. That'll crazy. I mean, they had the Wave Cave guys, and they're a big freaking deal, and then they kind of die out, literally. But then you'll have the Flatiron people, and then it won't be such a big deal. And they'll pick some other area and do something else. It'll become a big thing for them.
For a while, it was the Apache Kid Cave, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Wave Cave. Yeah, that was their big Wave Cave. So okay, now they went from the Wave Cave to the Flatiron. That's cool. They'll get into the Broadway Cave or some other thing, and they'll all like over there, and it's fine. You know, they're never going to be like, oh, let's go to Reva's, because that would be difficult. So, but see, that would impress me. What was the guy's name? What's the guy that goes up to Flatiron? Flatiron Jim?
Flatiron Jim and Flatiron Guy.
Yeah, Flatiron Guy. Now, those guys, if they made 580 trips to Reva's Ranch, I'd be impressed. Because that's a haul, and that's a rough one, and all that stuff. Okay, I've seen marathon guys and stuff. I've seen 80, 90-year-old guys jogging through First Water, jogging down the Dutchman, run through Needle Canyon. I've seen all that stuff. There are guys that do it daily. I ran into a guy once in Needle Canyon that every day he went a certain loop route around Bluff Springs 3 or 4 times a week at least, and he jogged it. And he was in his 70s or 80s or something, and he did it several times a week. So I'm sure he racked up some time, you know. Okay. Came across the cave, Big M. Yeah, I remember the story, and then he wasn't, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you think they could fake their deaths or something. Sometimes they just die. Mountain lion gets a hold of them, or they get lost, just, you know. Yeah, don't go up to the top if you don't have enough. You know, the problem with Flatiron, big problem with Flatiron is it'll be too much for them that first time, and they don't turn around and go back, and then they get up there, and then it takes them so long to climb down, to scooch down. It's dark, and then they get themselves pretty much wiped out. But they did it on Camelback. Camelback Mountain was that way for a long time. Old Piestewa Peak, Squaw Peak was like that. There used to be stuff that happened up there. So it doesn't matter. They will find a new place. Casinos. Yeah, and I don't know how, you know, I don't know. Eventually the Flatiron will lose its, it will lose it. A couple more people will fall off or something. Stupidity. So, I don't know. I always found it a shame, and this is many years ago, the people that drag their dogs up there. I mean, what an asshole. Your dog, man, it's just like you're picking them up and dragging them and handing them people. Dog doesn't want to be up on Flatiron. Your dog really doesn't want to go all the way up to Flatiron and have people drag them up rocks and stuff. That's stupid, man. You know, and I don't care how much your dog likes being in the mountains. He'd rather be somewhere where he can walk on the ground and kind of explore and do stuff. Putting him up on Flatiron does not impress the dog. And I always worry, you know, the humans, stupidity, go off the edge, whatever. But the dog, something happens to the dog, man, I'd be pissed. Because I don't want to see something happen to a dog. So, all right, anyhow, getting back to, I don't even know where we were before we got onto this. Yeah, the Flatiron thing. I don't know. People will do what people will do up in the mountains, and you will have always Peralta Trailhead, Garden Valley. They're pretty mellow, but me and Randy sat there with a guy that had to bring in an evac helicopter. He was diabetic, and then ended up having a heart problem, and we had to. There was no shade really there, so we had to find a comfortable place for him until they could bring in the evac group and get in and bring and evac him out from First Water, which wasn't very far out, but he's an older guy, not very healthy. Shouldn't have been out there, but he thought it was a nice day and he could make it, and he dehydrated, and then between the diabetes and his heart problem and all, it took him, so we sat there and got him out of there. He had a friend with him, which he was very fortunate because he had the friend, and they were sitting there, and we went over to talk to them because we could tell he just looked like crap. And so we went to talk to him and realized how bad he was, and then there were some people on horseback because nobody could get cell at that time out of there. And we had someone ride out to go call in and get an evac for him because we realized he did not need to be walking.
There was that time where we were with Frank when the helicopter came in on the road and we had to wait for the...
Yeah, that was a guy in cowboy boots cliff climbing. Yeah, why are you cliff climbing in cowboy boots? He fell. Do you enjoy Vulture City in Wickenburg? Well, Vulture City's out by the Vulture Mine, outside of Wickenburg. I've been there. I've been out there a number of times. Yeah, it was fine. It's kind of cool. They got their little take. They had their take on the Dutchman. That Jacob Waltz's oar was from the Vulture, and then Greg Davis and let's see, Thomas Glover, Jack Carlson. A bunch of them went out and got samples from the old veins of the Vulture and found out it had nothing to do with that. There's no evidence or no documentation. There's nothing even remotely connecting Waltz with the Vulture mine. But they like to use that story, and I have a book here on the Vulture mine in which they play that whole Waltz thing up. And it's like, whatever, fine. It's just, if they think that's going to win them a few more tourists, that's cool, or make some major revelation. It's kind of a cool place to check out, especially since hands-on, you can kind of check. I don't know what it's like now. It used to be you could literally almost pick stuff up and walk through everything and touch everything, and it was pretty cool. Could be trying to make it more safe for people now. So I always thought that place was pretty cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other, because it was kind of unique into itself. But it was, it was cheap, and it was kind of nice, and kind of drive out through there, and it was just not very scenic once you get out there and by there. It's just a desert again. But yeah, I'm not that far from there. So active mining in Vulture, I don't know. They were actively working one of a later shaft when I was there. It was a different area, but I don't know if they're producing anything. They might be producing a little gold or doing something. I'm sure someone owns the claim. Either the people that own the property own the claim, or someone is working the claim. Because let's face it, somebody's never going to give up. Some guy posted a video saying him and some people camped out in the Superstitions, and they heard some grunting and saw a big Sasquatch type creature. I know you have a similar story. I peed on a burrow once in the dark. I heard a grunting and all this noise, and then it came out. I don't have a similar story. I don't have a Bigfoot story, do I? Well, my story is up in the Mogollon Rim, and it was the Mogollon Monster story, which I don't believe is a Sasquatch. It was something else. It was the Burnt Man or something. And that was, yeah, I have that. You can check the Mogollon Monster story. But I've never seen anything Bigfoot-like. There was one supposedly up in the northern Superstitions. There's another guy says there's a family of them. And we have a video of Rick Gwynn talking about some Bigfoot creatures he saw at Burns. Yeah, those aren't released yet, but he talks about
Boulder Canyon Beast.
The Boulder Canyon Beast.
That was a video we did.
Oh, okay. Well, that too, but I never saw it. I just ran into the guy that was kind of going like there was something there.
I think that's the only
So,
one.
what?
I think that's the only other video.
Yeah. Have you considered a trip to the Utes with Terry Carter? Any interest in Utah? Terry and I talked. There was some place he might get to go, and I told him if he gets to go, and a couple of things, yes, I won't say what they are or anything or give Terry any grief. But on that, but Terry and I get along great. Me and Terry this last time talked about it again. And yes, if he gets an opportunity, there's a couple things I told him I will fly up, and you tell me when and where, and I'll be there. So yeah, I love Terry, man. Terry's an awesome dude. He's a fun guy. He should do, I wish he would do what I do here. When Terry sits back and talks and tells stories, he's awesome. but he likes to sit back behind the camera and interview. He doesn't like being on camera. He doesn't like talking. But Terry's awesome, man, and he doesn't give himself enough credit. I think you would agree, right? Mm-hmm. Terry would be a great host to host things and stuff, but has a good voice for it. It's a very unique voice, very different, and it cuts through and is very, very good. Yeah, but then we have a hello. But yeah, so Terry's a good guy. But yes, I would go up to do something. I think he was offered a spot maybe in Blind Frog Ranch. I sent them his way and found out they'd already asked him. Now, if they would have told me Blind Frog Ranch, and I don't know if I would do it still knowing, because I got hindsight now how bad it could be. But if I knew that Terry was going to work on that, I would do up there just to hang out with Terry, because I really like hanging out with Terry. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy. And he's fun to be around, and we had some fun. He's got some video stuff that I don't know if he'll release, because we just goofed on it and stuff and had a lot of fun. If he ever does release those episodes and some of that stuff, it'll be very cool. But yeah, I actually tried to be Terry and do the interviews on his own thing, which was fun. I thought it was fun. I love the rabbit holes. And I'm gonna do one more Monday, and then I'll take a breather, and then I'm gonna look for some more subject matter, and then put some other group together, get back into Dutch hunting, hit some stuff about Dutch hunters and treasure hunters, and do some more stuff, change it up a little, and then I'll have another group of them and do another thing like that. And again, the ones I did, these 4 or 5, were because of references to things. Did you ever hear this story? Do you ever hear about this? Do you ever run into this? And I thought, you know what, rather than shut it down and just kind of talk about it here in lives, I might as well go read some books, pull some research, look at what I know, talk to people, see what people know, pull everything together, and try to sit down and talk of what I think. Hey, like you, Terry keeps it down to earth. Well, Terry's a real down to earth guy too. He's a real fun guy. He comes out to the rendezvous. So, Wayne, is there any place you won't hike in the Superstitions? No. Well, let's put it this way. We went up because we had to film Weaver's Needle, so we went up to Fremont Saddle. Unless I'm going to go down to Pinion Camp or something, I necessarily wouldn't go up Peralta Trail. I wouldn't necessarily go up to the Flatiron and the Apache Kid Cave, even though we might go do one there just to film it, to talk the story of it or something in some way. But generally, I don't like going to the places that, because I even got comments from people who recognized me on Peralta Trail of why was I on that trail. So I don't like being the place where all the crowds are and stuff, because everybody questions everything. Why you got that big pack? Why are you doing this? You know, I get on certain trails and then people go, why you got a gun? Why you got a gun? Think somebody's going to kill you? Yeah, okay. I wish I had a shovel too. But, no, there's no place I wouldn't go, you know, unless I've been there too many times or been there or realized they were telling me, oh, there's this here, and I realized it wasn't. But, no, there's no place I'm afraid to go. There's no place I'm not willing to go. Generally, no, I'll go anywhere in the Superstitions. And there's no place that bothers me that I would say, oh, I went there and had a bad... I've been for a while, and I was hoping to take Trevor up onto Coffee Flat and Blacktop and some of the places where weird stuff happened, just to take him up to show him the area where I was when things happened. So I'm not even afraid of doing that, because, you know, hey, Stickman shows up. There's 2 of us now. I'll hit Trevor in the leg, make him limp, and I'll run. Stickman, get the boy. I hope more people will tell you thanks for all the great information you shared. It's just, you know, it's good to get things out there, be entertaining, and do what I do. It keeps people interested, and people are interested, and then they share. And this sort of thing stays out there permanently, rather than having to go to the library and get a book if you're on YouTube and you run into it. Getting out to a younger audience is really cool too. But maybe it interests people. It warns them about some of the caveats of not to do in the mountains. But at the same time, it's exposing the mountains better. If I wrote a book, I'd be lucky to sell. I mean, even if I sold a lot of books would be a couple thousand in regards of how many books sell. I don't know how much these guys sell anymore, but it's just not that many. But then you look at this channel, what are we at? About 1.5 million views of stuff. And then you take the History Channel, and I did that one day where I sat back and realized I've reached, I know it's not all individual, but it's worldwide between the television show.
1.6 million.
What?
1.6 million.
Okay. But between the TV show, YouTube, other programs I've done, and other things, and how I've outreached, is 30 to 35 million people. I'm not going to sell 30 to 35 million books. So there you go. So I'm going to have much better outreach. I am maybe would rather read a book than watch a YouTube video. But at the same token, I will say that I understand TikToks and stuff enough to know what people will watch and listen to and stuff. And Trevor's in charge of putting the TikToks. He pointed out the other day is we're doing 1,500 people on an episode or something, or chasing legends or something, and we might do 1,000 if we're lucky on this. But he pointed out we did a stupid little TikTok, and within 24 hours it had 1,500 people. So it's like boom. Okay, that was a silly thing, but it reached 1,500 people immediately, and that's a big deal because that's 1,500 people might check other things out elsewhere. So that's what we got to do. Okay. Is there any... Okay. Won't hike. Okay, I get it. I hope people will tell you things. Oh, God, I just keep rereading. The Booby Trap TV show, was that a real... I think it was. No, the producers didn't set that up because it was all rusty. If you look at it, I have pictures of it. I don't know when it was done. It was very rusty wire. It was spiked in. It was very rusty. It was very old. For whatever reason that was there. That trench was not made by them. That was older and all that stuff, because I was really suspect on that. Now, did someone else do it 5-10 years earlier, or how old it was? I don't know. But no, it'd been there, because when I got in and we first went to go in it and look, I looked at it and I immediately recognized what it was like one of those pitfall type things. And I was kind of like, got worried, like, what are we doing, man? I was looking around, looking for, what are they called? Punji spikes. And I was thinking, man, what the hell, man? And I was looking around. And then the funny thing was when we got out and sat down, and I was like, let's take a look at it. Turn the cameras off. Let's take a look at it and make sure there's nothing stupid here, like the rocks are going to fall on our heads or something. And we took a moment, and then I looked over, and there was scorpions every rock. Not the rocks I was sitting on, but across from me. And Agnes is sitting there with scorpions starting to climb on them and stuff. It was a weird spot. So no, but that was very much what it was. It was rusty old wire. It had been in there a long time, and whatever that was. And I never asked Shoes about it. I'll have to ask Shoes about it, what he thought. I don't think it's there anymore, because me and Frank, we were out there, we were filming, and I was looking for it. And I think the unfortunate aspect, you put something on TV, and then once people find out where it's at, they destroy the area. And I couldn't find it. Remembering being so into the show, watching Eric climb the ladder, it was wild. If you ever need stuff carried up, or sure there are a few of us who help, including myself. I'll set up your guitars. See, there's the guy you love. He's just like, hey, you know what? Screw that desert hiking and carrying the gear. I'll set up your guitars. So, yeah, we'll have to do some of that. We'll have to pop some stuff in on the guitars here soon and have some fun. So we got beyond the weather. We got through the rabbit holes and got through some other stuff. And we are at we're getting close. So, anyways, we get ready to wrap up here in a few. But no, so thank you, everybody who joined in. We get our usual crowd, 100, 150 people come in initially, and this thing will bounce up a few hundred as time goes by. And I do appreciate it. The archival stuff, I know everybody likes that. The last one with Doc Rosencrantz did really good. So for archives thing, and remember, those are up permanent. So and one of the reasons we do that, and I have tapes right next to me right here. But these tapes continue to convert 8mm and video and stuff. We're going to be getting something together. I'm going to try this week and get something on order to start doing slides and stuff. I'm trying to bring as much archival material, but I'm not trying to get it just for myself. As I preserve this stuff, I'm trying to get it out to everybody, because what good is Doc Rosencrantz thing doing if it gets faded and you can't even understand it eventually and everything's done? Digitizing is important, but then putting it out there in a digital format that people can share and watch, it's not about money. It's about sharing it so people can hear who we talk about when they pick up Doc Rosencrantz book. If they get that pamphlet from the museum or someplace, then they're going to actually see the guy talking about the stuff, and I think that's really, really awesome. So we continue to put that stuff up, and it doesn't matter if it's been heard before. We continue to do it. If you play Guitar in the Mountains, would it repel the Black Legion? You just have to see. Hope you guys have an awesome year. we did talk about that, and I would love nothing better to figure out some sort of musical performance in the Don's camp and see what it would sound like if I've always wondered what a half, even a half stack would sound, because it don't take much to really get everything to resonate and bounce in there. Those guys had that setup for the the DJ setup over above. You imagine if you were down in that bowl with the Daysite cliffs behind you, the amplifier that would be, you might hear us. You would hear us in Hewitt Canyon for sure. You'd hear something at night, especially the way sound travels. I've always wondered that, is like, just light it up back in there. It'd be kind of cool. That's the 4-year-old in me talking. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for allowing me to join you today. Everybody's allowed to join. I didn't know there was a doorman for this. So I thought it was just everybody's welcome and free to come on in and ask questions. No, thank you, everybody. I hope everybody tries to stay warm. Happy for those of you that had some sunshine and warm weather and things got better. Hope the snow melts and you can get down, and because I know there are some people that it's been particularly miserable for. I know our buddy Robert Lawton. I know he's back in New York. I think it's New York, New Jersey. Somewhere back there where it's really cold and miserable, and I haven't seen him. And I hope all's well with him and everything. So, can Frank pronounce Delisle? He just says Eric. He's learned Eric D. Deal. He'll say Deal, but you can't get him to say Delisle. If he starts saying Delisle, it comes out weird all the time. So, no, to this day, I mean, you think after 7 or 8 years he could say Delisle. No, he says Delisle? Yeah, I don't know. He must. I guarantee you he knew someone named DeLeo, and that's why it always comes out DeLeo. So, but hey, it's okay. He's Frank, and he can do it, and I don't think Eric has any problem with it, man. It's better than some of the things Frank called Eric when we were filming. Oh man, Frank was pretty rough on Eric for a while there. There was a time, I think, first day of filming, Frank walks up to me and goes, "What do you think? Think the young one's on drugs? Do we need to check him?" It's like, holy crap, Frank. I mean, Eric is a bit fidgety and can be kind of a little hyper and stuff, but yeah, Frank was completely convinced that first day that we needed to do an intervention on Delisle. Oh, poor Eric. I hope he watches this and laughs. Frank still thinks he's probably on drugs. Yeah, Buffalo, yeah, okay. Bowman might be burning bows to stay warm. Yeah, and I hope all's well with him, man, because I haven't seen him since all that big bad weather was coming in. And I feel bad for him, because I know when it's cold, and especially some of what I've seen back east, and some of those areas, like I said, I saw the stuff that was in Buffalo and some of the stuff that was up in Michigan. Man, that sucks for those people. And there's just no way to get relief from anybody or anything, and the power goes out, and the house just becomes an ice cube, literally an ice cube. So hopefully they're all okay and everything, and we see the good old Bowman back. So he'll be kind of popping back in again. Okay, maybe it's because we went down the weird path, and he is a different kind of person, but maybe he was not into the weird stuff, and now that we get talking Dutch hunting stuff, he'll be returning. But hopefully he's well, his family's well, and everybody else is well. So thank you, everybody. Light a fire, keep the damp out of your bones. That's all I got to tell you, man. Keep the damp out of your bones, because that's the one thing I do not like. We will be back Monday with another Chasing Legends, and I don't know what's up next week. Me and Trevor will talk over it. Next time you see the live broadcast, we will have the opening. So you'll see an opening, and it should have music, and you will be able to kind of sit there and wait till I pop in. And we will have that, right, Trevor? Because we promised that 3-4 weeks ago, and then we dropped the ball. So awesome for us. Coming up short all the time. There you go. All right. Hey, Gil Young just joined us. Gil Gold Prospecting in San Antonio, Texas, where every day is a golden day. Yep, bye, Gil. Came in late. Oh, God. Choked myself up there, Gil. See, I got my Carl's Jr. cup here. Anyhow, but we do have more to come, the Chasing Legends stuff in the lives. I still will get in touch, and sometime here in the following months or whatever, we'll get a hookup, and we'll have Frank Augustine and Eric Magnuson as guests to do some stuff, maybe get a couple other people. We've talked about different things we can do, so But I wish we could have had everything together better this week. What am I not paying you for, huh? Okay. So there you go. I hope everybody is just, like I said, staying warm, staying dry, and had a great holiday and is getting there in the new year and stuff. I know everybody goes through a lot, and just, hey, keep your heads high and keep your feet dry. If you keep your feet dry and warm and keep your head warm, you're always good. So thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year. And we will catch you next time on the Live Legends broadcast. But remember, and everybody can say it with me, because we'll say it as all's one, and we'll hear it around the world as I'm Wayne Tuttle, you're not. In fact, that would be really cool to have everybody together chant, I'm Wayne Tuttle, you're not. It would be so freaking confusing to all the people around us. It would be a movement. Maybe not. Okay. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Until the next time, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this was Legends Live.